Hey, my wonderful, wonderful people, a pleasant Sunday afternoon to you. If you have not yet made Jesus Christ your personal Lord and Savior, please feel free to do so. He's the best being ever. Certainly that would be the best decision that you could ever make. Hey, my wonderful people. So I'm just getting an opportunity to look at the different traditional media. I'm talking the Observer, the Gleaner. I bought a few last week. Didn't get the chance to read it. So I'm now looking at the Observer, Friday's Observer. And it says, come home, but stay clean. That's the caption. Prime Minister, it says, PM sends message to Jamaicans due for deportation from US. And Willis was the one who did this report, declaring that Kingston will not pick a quarrel with Washington over its decision to deport note the words for me, criminal offenders and illegal migrants. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has urged Jamaicans in the United States who are facing hardship to return home but stay clean. You know, I'm really examining that first, I call it thesis sentence or statement, because I'm noting words criminal, illegal, and they both work in tandem with each other. I'm going somewhere with this. Since taking office last month, the Donald Trump administration has been following through on its campaign promise to deport criminal offenders and individuals living in the United States illegally, which includes some 5,120 Jamaicans who have been pegged for immediate removal. That number is expected to rise depending on the outcome of appeals and additional immigration processes by other Jamaicans who have either been detained or who are unsuccessful in the process of regularizing their statuses. Let me quote, I suppose, what the Prime Minister is going to say now. Let me be clear. We respect the sovereign right of any country to determine their international security, public order, and social policy, which I actually advocate that as well. We encourage all our Jamaicans who live in foreign countries follow the law of the country in which you are resident. True. But never forget that Jamaica is your homeland. You are not homeless nor stateless. Fair enough. The Prime Minister said in his keynote address at the Office of the National Security Advisor 2025 Security Seminar at AC Marriott Hotel in St. Andrew on Thursday. Listen now, people, let's continue. What we are trying to build here is a place where every Jamaican can feel proud and comfortable to come back home. That's what we want to build here, your homeland. And if you find it difficult where you are, come back here. Ackee and saltfish was always good. You can get it. Don't stay there and suffer. Come back home. And he continued, he said, as I said before, don't come back here to destroy our homeland and what we have been working very hard to create, so that you wouldn't have had, have had to leave in the first place. And we have been making strides in that regard. So expect to be dealt with a firm hand if your intent is criminal, Holness cautioned. He says, come back and help build your homeland so that we can stand up with pride with the citizens of the world about your country, that you don't have to be economic refugees. Disabuse yourselves of this notion that you can only make it through crime. Listen again. So disabuse yourselves of this notion that you can only make it through crime. And he's talking financially and so on. And therefore you are going to join a gang and therefore become a part of the problem. He said, adding, I appeal to all of you who have been exposed overseas and seen what prosperity is like. Come back home and let us work together to build the prosperous nation Jamaica is destined to be, don't come back here with guns. Beautiful people. So you've heard what the Prime Minister is saying. My only difficulty is that the challenge that I am having, there seem to be not a synergy nor a symbiotic flow. Like, when you have a seesaw, it goes up and down. So once the weight goes on one, more of the weight, it goes up. So it's natural gravity. There seem not to be a symbiotic. There seem not to be a synergy with what I had seen recently on the news or the caption. And I'm paraphrasing because it has been maybe over a week or so where the Prime Minister welcomes home back, those who would have been deported. But the angle in which the news report stated it stated it as though these are non-criminal elements or individuals or people rather, and people who are what you would consider of the bright minds. Remember, we have been suffering for a little while from brain drain. So my understanding was that that not just the criminal, elements, but people who are there on illegal terms. For the brain drain, not to say that those who are criminal, they don't have a brain, because it must take a lot of work to do things that are not only illegal, but also immoral. So it must take a lot of brain work to do all of that. Notwithstanding, it follows through with those who may run off because they want to see a better life. From what I had gathered, especially with our teachers and nurses, in particular teachers, many of them went on legal terms. They got their work permit, and they've gotten into certain schools. They would have applied, or somebody would have put in a word for them. Whichever way, some sort of an application would have been done. So the point that I'm making is, I'm making the link with the brainy ones who would have left and their legal status overseas. So I'm simply saying to you, if you notice throughout that article that I read, it spoke to those who commit acts of crime on a consistent basis, who really are not socially fit for the country in which they're currently residing or their own homeland. It doesn't speak to if they will help with the growth and the development of our country. In other words, it's not necessarily the brainy people who are deported. It is not necessarily the ones with the intelligence quotient, what you call very knowledgeable, and perhaps emotional intelligence, EQ, who will be sent back to their homeland, because they would have originally gone over on legal means, and then they apply for their green card, and then they move into applying for their citizenship once they have been, accepted by the country. So I'm kind of puzzled by this particular article. It just seems almost ridiculous, nonsensical. Because a man who figures that he can make it the criminal way, and he sees where he's making it the criminal way, he will continue to do so even after coming back here. Some of them have claimed that what people make in an entire year, the average Jamaican, let us say the average Jamaican makes $1.5 million. Some of them can make that within the month, on a good day. You know what I mean? And even a little less than that on other ordinary days. So I'm not seeing how it is that they're going to conform to accepting less. Secondly, let us not speak about the deportees. Let us think about our own Jamaican people, the public sector in particular. And yes, you do have private sector workers. You have quite a number of people, the civil servants and all of these other people who have been lobbying for better pays, better salaries rather. Just a small sect in the public sector had given themselves 100, 200, 300%, while the others got 20% in tranches. So how is it that when these people come, they will help to make Jamaica better, when the current ones who are loyal, committed, and devoted, they're all three different words, those sounding similar, cannot get above the 20% increase, and even their original salaries are still not as grandiose and magnolious as those who had gotten the 100%, 200%, and 300%. So I'm not sure I'm understanding it is not reconciling within me what the PM has said. Anyway, what a web we weave when we try to deceive. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me a lion.